everyone. So today we're going to talk about hand traps and where they are going. For those of you who might be newer to the game, hand traps are essentially cards that can interact with your opponent from your hand if you're the going second player, something like an Ash Blossom or an Imperm, or Infinite Impermanence, or stuff even as old as Karibo is technically a hand trap. You could have it in your hand, you get attacked, you could throw it down, reduce the attacking monster's attack to 0. They also include things like Max C. If you play Master Duel, you know just how game warping something like Max C can be. So hand traps really do have a massive impact on the game. And given the current state of the meta, hand trap decks have hand trap have become the choice of like non-engine staples in decks right now because Snake Eye format has kind of shown like you're better off to like repeatedly kick your opponent in the shins while they're putting on a suit of armor than doing a board breaker style approach where you simply try to kick them in the balls after they already have the suit of armor on. So you're kind of different choices for different things. Sometimes it's a board breaker meta, not right now. Snake Eyes is just too consistent. It's too recursive. Uh, Generally speaking, the competitive landscape has really decided that no, we're better off going with hand trap heavy. So with Snake Eyes, because of how consistent it is, people are able to play a lot of hand traps in this deck. You can play anywhere between 9 and 15 pretty well and still have a very consistent Snake Eye engine within your deck to get going. But the problem with this is, I mean, beyond all the problems you can say that Snake Eye has being like 5 1-card combos and all that crap. The problem is it's kind of showing the weakness of of what essentially has been the staple hand traps, things like Impermanence, Ash Blossom. You've got stuff that it seems like Snake Eye has an answer for it. Imperm can target a negate, but it leaves the body on field, and it doesn't do anything for spells going first. Ash can work on spells, but it's once per turn. So even if you draw 2 Ash Blossoms, 1 Imperm, well, you only still have 2 points of interaction. So you kind of want to have something like an Effect Veiler instead of that second Ash Blossom. But again, you're going with luck. And then you have stuff like Max C in the Master Duel in the OCG, which is extremely effective at stopping a deck like Snake Eyes that does like to special summon a fair bit. Any deck, really, that special summons at all. So Floowandereeze, you're okay, but everybody else is screwed. It's just a bomb, and it's banned in the TCG. So we can't go like, oh, please, Max C, save us from this meme hell of Snake Eyes. And it's like, nope, sorry, you're gonna have to rely on the Mulcharmies as they come out in info this week, and then Rage of the Abyss in October. I think we get 2. One that stops you or gives you draws from hand, which is the one coming out in info, and then the one from the deck, which is in October. So those are coming. Those are kind of like Max C, an attempt by Konami to like work Max C into something a little bit less purely problematic. Again, we'll see how well they're adopted. They'll probably end up becoming side deck staples, but I don't foresee them being main deck right away. We'll see where the meta kind of develops over the next little bit. But those are things that we just got. We don't know if they're good enough. When are they even going to be good enough to match up with the power that decks nowadays have? Never mind Snake Eyes, along with never mind Mulcharmy coming out in info. Fiendsmith comes out in info, and Fiendsmith finds another home in what else but Snake Eye, and it increases its consistency. So it's just another way for Snake Eye to continually build the board. So what I think that the future of hand trap should look like is not necessarily Dimension Shifter 2 or something like Maximum C, but rather a card that already exists. Pause for dramatic effect. It's called Contain. And if you watch this channel at all before, you know how fond I am of Rescue Ace as an archetype. And Contain is one of its archetypal traps. It came out in the first wave of support. It is the C in the race acronym. So Contain is essentially a normal trap that, with the effect that when your opponent activates a monster, you can essentially target an effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effect that turn, and also it can't attack. And then if you control a Rescue Ace Hydrant at resolution, It cannot be used as Fusion, Xyz, Synchro, or Link material. So essentially locks that particular monster out of being used as extra deck material. It's extremely strong with a well-timed contain is like 3 levels of interaction. Like you stop it, they can't just go right to battle phase and destroy something. Like even if you just have Hydrant and Contain on field, you could get through that turn and still keep your Hydrant on field because of just how useful Contain is. It's a very strong spell or a trap card, especially if you know like how the deck you're dealing with plays, like where it's good, where it really wants to go start going into the extra deck. So, like I kind of mentioned, first attack is effectively just infinite impermanence for the race archetype. It does have the benefit of also stopping attacks, but that's fine. Like if you're going if you're dealing, you probably have it going second, or be dealing with it going second, so you're gonna want to probably go to the battle phase. But in the end, it's like, well, one of my monsters can't attack, not the end of the world. But what we need is the second effect to become something generic. So that effect does only work if Hydrant's on field, but effectively locking you out of the extra deck, or at least locking your opponent from using that monster's extra deck material. That's the next step hand traps need to take. We need super infinite impermanence. What I'm basically proposing is that this hand trap can be played from your hand while you control no other cards, like infinite impermanence, but on top of the effect negation, it's locked out of being used as extra deck material. You can't use it as Link material. You can't use it as Xyz material. You can't just link it away to get its graveyard effect going and like perfect. Everything's great. Or, start graveyard plays that way. It's like, no. Once that thing's on the field, it's a dead brick. It is just sitting there. Still can be used as ritual material, but I'm not super concerned about rituals. Technically, you've been tributed as well, so I guess if you're dealing with monarchs, tough. But other than that, I don't think there's a problem with having it like that. So now, for example, we'll go back to Snake Eyes. You can use Snake Eye Ash gets summoned. You use this card, this Super Imperm, to negate the Snake Eye Ash to stop them from being able to add Poplar to hand. Now they have to go and use Bonfire, which you can then Ash. So now you've had, but not only have you stopped Snake Eye Ash from using its effect, and also stopped Bonfire from getting Poplar to get an extra body on field. Now you've locked that Snake Eye normal summon on the field, and it can't be used as extra deck material. So they can't just link it away and like start a graveyard cycle or something like that. Getting other plays going via the graveyard. All right, and this can be devastating to decks that really are heavy extra deck, which I don't think is a bad thing. Like the extra deck has become such a toolbox of like, oh, I don't have a solution for this in the main deck. I'll just go to the extra deck. Oh, I'll just grab this. I'll just grab SP. I'll just grab a Nightmare. I'll just grab etc. 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 and just keep doing this, and there, I've solved the issue. But this kind of I think, yeah, like I said, this lockout effect is the next natural step for hand traps. It will probably be devastating to some effects, but the reality is that we're in an arms race between what a hand trap can do and what decks can do. Something like Tyr could only be beaten by another Tyr deck. Snake Eyes can't. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to load up in hand traps and my rogue strategy is going to do well. It's like, no. Like, it'll hurt some rogue strategies, but the reality is it'll make them better. They're better off to have it. And it's better to have something like this exist than something like being like, oh, well, the OCG argument where it's like, oh, well, Maxx C allows rogue decks to exist because if you play Maxx C, it's like, well, I don't want to give them 100 draws, and then you can still use your Cyber Dragon pet Blue Eyes pet deck to go and get a win off that just because Maxx C is there. This is still devastating. This is still powerful, but it's not Maxx C levels of like game warping. It's just strong. It's just the next step in the power creep that this game basically lives on. So, yeah, I don't know. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you agree with me or if you think I'm an idiot. I mean, either way, it's interaction and I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Have a great one. Bye.